So I was talking about Solend.fi. This is Solend. It's an autonomous interest rate machine for Solana. That basically it's a protocol where you can deposit and borrow assets on Solana blockchain. So you can earn interest on deposits and borrow assets on the fastest, lowest fee and most scalable lending protocol. So I was trying to look for a way to keep my Solana and still be able to spend some of my profits, as it were. And I came across these guys. Now the dashboard is pretty simple. You can see that their total supply, they have the supply side, they have the borrow side. So their total supply is 109 million, total borrow is 42 million. So what it is that you can deposit or supply any of these assets and then borrow based on what you supplied any of these assets at a particular loan to value ratio. Loan to value ratio means that you definitely can't borrow more than what you can't borrow more than what you supplied, and then you can't borrow more than a certain percentage of what you supplied. Generally I think it's 0.75, but it differs per asset. 75%. So it differs per asset. And also when you supply, it's a good idea to borrow much less than the maximum loan to value ratio, because your asset is fluctuating in value. What happens is if there's a big dip in the market, you don't want the value of your asset to go down drastically. So I have this particular Solana wallet that I've connected here. I just have $10 right there, and then I think I have very minute amount of USD. So I just want to use this as a what would I call it now, example. So I click here, Solana, and I can deposit. So say for example I wanted to deposit 1 Solana. I don't have up to that. It says insufficient balance. But let's say I wanted to deposit 1 Solana. You can see that the value is $135 right now. It could be less later, it could be more, but right now it's $135, meaning that now my limit of borrowing is up to $101. And when I supply, I'll be getting this interest. I'm going to supply. If I supply this, I'll only be able to borrow up to this, and my supply APY will be 0.29%. Now if I supply 1 Solana, I will then be able to borrow on this side. I could borrow probably Solana, I could borrow probably USDC, USDT. So here's what I want to do now. I'll click on max here. It shows me this is the maximum I can supply. Let's do 0.05. I think I will still have more than enough left for fees. 0.05. So I want to supply that. Supply. It says confirm transaction in wallet. It brings this, and I approve, and there you go. I've successfully supplied. So I can check this on the Explorer. I don't need to do that, and I can say done. So if I want to borrow now, I just come here and you can see what your account looks like. You have 1 position open. I think from what I read, you can have a maximum of 6 positions, both borrowing and supplying. So my net value is $6.76. If you look at this white line, it says once you hit your borrow limit, you could be dangerously close to liquidation. So my borrow limit from this is $5. It says your borrow limit is at $5.07 and is 75% of your supply balance. So if I want to borrow now, I can borrow up to $5.07, $5.07. My liquidation threshold, which is this second line, is currently $5.41, and it's 80% of my supply balance. So I've supplied $6.75, and I can borrow up to $5.06. But if the value of my asset that I deposited goes below, goes below that 5.4, I'll get liquidated. So it says liquidation threshold is the limit where your collateral will be eligible for liquidation. Each asset supplied increases your borrow limit by a percentage of its value. So since I've supplied $6.75, I could simply, it shows you assets supplied here, and it shows you wallet balances. So I could simply say, okay, I want to borrow USDT. I click on borrow here. I've clicked on USDT. I click on borrow here, and then I would say maybe I want to borrow $2. So that would be that means I'm utilizing 39% of my loan. Still very, very far from liquidation, or very far from my loan to value ratio. I could borrow a maximum of 5.06 point blah blah blah, but let's just say I want to borrow $2, and then do that borrow and confirm transaction in wallet, approve, and I am all good. Okay, we're still loading. All right, so I believe I'm good with that, and that's all we need to do. So let's do that. Even if it's, you want to deposit 0.5 Solana or something, and then borrow something, let's just supply and borrow against whatever you supplied. Maybe keep it around that 40% ratio. Just something. Oh, this was cancelled transaction. Okay. Just something, very minimal and affordable for you that you can do from your Solana wallet, so that we can see what comes out of that for this potential airdrop. Thank you.